Now, our regular this time of a Saturday night is Dr. Karen Phillip, family counsellor and clinical hypnotherapist. Who's ready to take your calls, Karen is. If you've got a question you'd like to talk to Karen about, how her area of expertise can help you in your life, we'll get on the phone, 131873. Each week we also like to touch on a different topic of where people might need some help. How are you, Karen?
I'm really good, thank you, Warren.
Well, nice to have you back on the program. 131873 is that number. And, of course, when we talk about clinical hypnotherapy, that helps people in all sorts of ways, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It's got such a broad range of assistance for so many people, you know, mainly emotional issues, but also to adjust habits and behaviours that they have that they may want to, you know, sort of remove or change or adjust. And
yes,
hypnotherapy can really help them do that.
So it can be anything from something that is obviously a chronic issue or a chronic issue for them, overcoming some problem they've got in their life, in their past, or it can be just about, I guess, self-help to some extent.
Yeah, a lot of self-help, actually. We get a lot of people. I'm quite fortunate because I'm a counselling psychotherapist and a hypnotherapist,
yes,
so I'm able to work from both sides, if you like. But yeah, people come in for a whole range of things, you know, stop smoking, losing weight, reducing anxiety, stop nail biting, getting over phobias or even past traumas. So there's a range of areas.
Now, when we talk about getting past traumas, that's an area which is quite interesting, and we got a few calls about that last week, actually. People, I suppose, sometimes know there's something wrong in their life. They may even know some of the symptoms, but they need some help in really coming to terms with knowing what the full aspect of what's been upsetting them is.
Well, it is, and I always say that it's one thing to know what we want and what we want to change, but it's another thing to know how to actually do it. And part of my job, I guess, is to enable the people and empower the people to learn what they can do that will work for them to change whatever it is that they're experiencing, or to deal or manage with some of the trauma or experiences that have affected their lives.
Can you also help people find ways of finding strength, I suppose? For example, if somebody's in a domestic violence situation or something like that. I know that's more an issue for police, but if they need some help about being able to get the confidence to do something?
Oh, look, yes. A lot of the times when we're talking about domestic violence or even domestic abuse, there's a lot of people in situations where their partner is abusing them financially, sexually, psychologically, and they're the people that we get more than anyone that, you know, they don't call the police. They can't call the police.
Well, in some cases, no criminal act is being committed if it's not violence.
That's right. No, yeah. and often it isn't violence physically, but it is often violence emotionally and psychologically. So when we get people that come into the rooms with issues, a lot of it's to do with self-esteem and self-confidence because they've been battered down, if you like, psychologically and emotionally. We can work with them to really start to build up their confidence and their self-esteem and have them understand the reason that they're feeling the way they do and also the reason why they're continually tolerating the behaviour of their partner. Once they start to understand that and learn what they can do different, then they can take those steps and feel strong enough and empowered enough to go and start on a completely new path.
Well, so it's an interesting aspect, this, when we talk about abuse that isn't necessarily criminal, and that can just be a matter of somebody putting down their spouse, just putting them down for years and years and years, you know, being derogatory.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also the financial abuse. You know, like mum might be at home looking after the young children and dad goes to work and he may feel that that's my money and I'll give you X amount but don't expect any more. I mean, you know, they don't realise that legally in this country any money that's earned within the household is owned equally by both people. But we do have that situation, unfortunately. We also have partners that try to keep their spouse isolated from their own family, from their own friends. So there's a whole range of things that go on and that continue to go on until the person or the victim is empowered enough and learns how to actually do something different and also believe that they can do something different.
So obviously that's where having an extra person involved who's trained as you are gives them not only that confidence, but I suppose is a bit of a mirror reflecting on themselves and seeing themselves in a different light.
Oh, look, absolutely, and completely right. And I guess what I do, and I'm not sure about other therapists, but anyone that comes to me in a situation where they are in desperate need or they're feeling quite vulnerable and distressed, I tell them to ring me 24/7, doesn't matter what time of the day or night it is. And the fact is that they know that they've got somebody on the other end that they can call, that it's not a family member who will, denigrate their partner, but who they may absolutely love, but they just need to get through whatever it is that they're currently experiencing. Even just having that number, and most of them don't use it, some do, but it's just almost that safety net for them, so they feel that they've got someone to talk to and that support if they need it. And that's what a lot of people need, but unfortunately don't get.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? It's really, really tough.
Oh, it sure can be.
Now, without people having those sorts of chronic things, as we've touched on smoking, we got a call last week about alcoholism, but we also wanted to talk tonight, or you did, about how your sort of work can help people with obesity issues too.
Oh, look, weight loss is a big part of our society's problems today. And there's a multitude of reasons that people are sort of gaining excess weight. People say that they're bored or they're lonely or they eat for comfort. But, I explain to them that loneliness can't be satisfied by food, neither can stress or frustration, depression, boredom, any other emotion. And they may get a temporary relief from the food, but it's not hunger that they're feeling, it's emotions. And these emotions, they really need to be recognised, such as if they come in and say, look, I'm feeling depressed, so I eat. Well, I indicate to them that listen to your body, listen to what your mind is telling you. If you're feeling depressed and you're eating, then that means something in your life needs to be adjusted. It's like a call to action, if you like.
Yeah,
when we feel frustrated.
We hear the word comfort eating. Yeah.
A lot of people do comfort eat, and even when they say, look, I'm lonely, it generally means that they've got a strong desire for human contact. So we talk about getting in contact with people, joining a group, volunteering, even getting onto social media. So there's a whole lot of things that people can do to remove those feelings that do exacerbate their need and their want.
It's interesting you mentioning this because I've seen a documentary that was on either SBS or the ABC about loneliness very recently in the last couple of weeks, and also some newspaper reports about how loneliness is the new epidemic. And of course, you're saying that loneliness is a problem, but it also leads to these other issues.
It really does. I mean, we're in a community, whether it be regional, metropolitan or city, but we can still feel incredibly lonely and isolated. There's a story coming out, I think it might have been for Huffington Post, that I did a couple of days ago, and we're talking more on loneliness for people in their 50-plus age group or 55-plus age group. Once their young children have left home or they have their own lives, and then as we get a little bit older, when we retire, and then get even older again into our 70s when we're less mobile. And that is becoming a really big problem with many people, unfortunately, in our society. Even if we've got people next door and people in the unit across from us or upstairs, we often don't connect like we used to.
No.
So my big thing is, and I really want to start making this a little bit myself more proactive in doing this, is to get social media and to get laptops and iPads into aged care facilities and into senior citizens places so they can connect with people all over the world. And I've worked with women. Actually, there was a woman that came in not long ago. She was overweight. She wanted to lose weight, and part of her issue was she felt so isolated and alone. Her husband had passed away. And I said, well, what did you used to do? She was a school teacher, and she just lost her identity, if you like. No longer a teacher. My family live interstate. I've got nothing to do. She wasn't very good on computers. So what we did is I worked with her, got her onto social media, and we connected her with some small regional groups over in Africa. And I know it sounds a bit weird, but her expertise as a teacher was able to connect with the teachers and the kids over there who did speak English, and she reinvented herself from her own home. She was connected every single day with groups and with teachers, and it changed her life. And that's what social media can do for people when they are feeling alone and isolated.
Yeah, it's true. That disconnect, isn't it? It can be quite remarkable with high-rise apartment buildings that you literally sleep metres away sometimes from dozens, if not hundreds of people, and can become isolated. But that's just the world we live in, isn't it?
It is, unfortunately. It has come that way, and we do stick pretty much to ourselves these days. Everyone's very busy, and where we used to knock on someone's door when they moved in to say hi.
You don't feel comfortable doing it. Well, I mean, many don't anyway.
No, and that's exactly right. And we have so many people living alone these days, more so than we ever used to. You know, we used to have family, or we'd live with our kids, or we'd stay with our partner, but these days we don't unfortunately live like that.
No, we don't. 131873 is our number. Now, Karen, we've got Gillian on the line. Hello, Gillian.
Oh, it's Gillian.
Oh, sorry,
How
Gillian. We're well.
No, don't be sorry. That's fine. Hi. I actually emigrated from the UK 20 years ago, and my parents died when I was quite young. So I just didn't realise until I was listening to your program tonight that if it wasn't physical abuse, that was still considered abuse.
Yes. We've got domestic abuse, and this is where one partner may be taking the approach, basically, of a perpetrator, that they denigrate their partner, they insult, they control, they financially control as well as physically control.
Right, yeah, well, I think that's my situation, actually. I mean, my sons are 24 and 26, and I've been with my partner since I was 19, and I have actually no access to any of our financial accounts. He has them all in his name, and he does actually talk about my sort of physical appearance quite a lot, and thinks it's changed quite a bit since I was young, which is fair enough, but still he does talk about that quite a bit on a daily basis. And if I go grocery shopping, he will actually then talk about what I brought home, and it's not quite good enough. And
how do you feel when he's doing this? What does that do to you?
Quite horrific, actually. I feel really humiliated, and yeah. But anyway, look, he doesn't hit me. He's not a bad person. And
that's what we say. We think, a lot of women think, oh, well, he doesn't hit me, and a lot of women say that, but they don't need to. Abuse is abuse, regardless if it's emotional, psychological, or physical. It's actually the same. And research tells us if it's physical abuse, then at least we can see it and other people know what's going on. But when it's emotional and psychological abuse, you're carrying all of that within you, and it actually becomes a greater weight to carry around every day.
Well, I think it does, because I think you can't necessarily explain that to your children so easily.
No, and you know what? Well, your kids probably will never really understand, let alone accept that if they love their dad and get on well with their dad.
Of course I do. He's a fantastic dad, you know, and that's the thing. But also, too, what I wanted to ask is that I had a trust in the UK that my parents left to my aunt because I was very young when they died, and that was left to her, and then it came to me. But that seemed to be just absorbed into our everyday expenses, and I never saw any of that. And so, I mean, that was my own fault, probably, but still.
Yeah. Look, Gillian, I'd really like to get your phone number if I could, and perhaps you will call tomorrow, and just to help guide you on where you may be able to get some support if you don't live local to me, that guide you and give you some support, because you know what? No one deserves to live in a relationship where they feel overpowered, where they feel unappreciated, and they're
it's a little bit more than that, like humiliated. So, but anyway,
you don't deserve it. Nobody does.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much.
Well, Gillian, what I'll do is I'll put you on hold so we can get your number and pass it on to Karen off the air. Okay?
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, so just hang in there. We're almost out of time, Dr. Karen Phillip, but you do have help, of course, via your websites and also those different materials available.
Yes, I do, and tonight what I'm offering all the listeners is a discount on if they wish to lose weight, whether it be that they're overeating or whether it be they're eating due to stress or loneliness or boredom. That's all dealt with in the hypnotherapy session that I do. So if they go to Dr. Karen Phillip, drkarenphillip.com, there's a link on the page just under the 2GB logo, and the code word for this week is SLIM. SLIM, and all they need to do is put it in, and they will get nearly a 50% discount on the session. and they can start losing their weight tomorrow.
Oh, there we go. Which is kind of handy. We see we're heading to the festive season, isn't it?
Oh, very handy, yes. Only a few weeks till Christmas, so with 4 weeks to go, we could probably drop, 10 kilos by then. If you're really lucky.
If you're lucky.
5 or 6, actually.
Well, we're going to leave it there for this week, Karen. We'll chat next week around the same time.
Thanks, Warren. Talk to you then.
There we go. Family counsellor and clinical hypnotherapist and a regular as part of Saturday Nights with Warren Moore is Dr. Karen Phillip. That website again, drkarenphillip.com, as in drkarenphillip.com. We'll take a break.